Hello, Anton. Welcome.
Hi everyone.
Thanks for joining us. Great to have you. You're the big friend of 1inch. Thanks for supporting us and overall the community in crypto. So
Thank you for having me.
for those who doesn't know, Anton is like one of the most OG people I personally know in the space, especially on the engineering side. If you would like to start, maybe it was like short intro about yourself, and then dive into the topic, please.
Yeah, sure. I started my career as software engineer more than 20 years ago. For the first 10 years, I was working with C++, with like applications, like different ones, performance applications, network applications, cross-platform applications. Then I switched to iOS development for iPhones. It was a great period of my life, working with all these great Apple dev tools. And finally, in 2017, I discovered smart contracts and wrote my very first smart contract on Hackathon. And since that moment, I'm mostly focused on smart contracts and on different. I developed different protocols, different concepts. Yeah. In 2019, I with Sergey visited maybe more than 15 different hackathons, blockchain hackathons around the globe.
Nice.
And on one of them, we came up to idea of 1inch, the aggregator, which allows users to find the best possible price on chain with just having everything hidden under the hood. So for users, it's just one transaction, but for us, for aggregator, it's like a whole life. We do like a really complex aggregation. Like sometimes if you swap USDT to Ether, for example, part of this USDT could be swapped to USDC, DAI, Rapid Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It could potentially touch a lot of different pools and minimize slippage. But sometimes it makes no sense. For example, if you swap a relatively small amount, relatively comparing to gas costs, transaction costs, I mean, it's like small amount on Ethereum is hundreds of bucks, probably 1,000. Small amount on Polygon is tens of bucks. And yeah, so the more you swap, the smaller are fees, the more it makes sense for aggregation. But even if we do not build a complex road for you and just use Uniswap version 2 pool, which is probably one of the cheapest protocols, it will be cheaper to use 1inch. Yeah, because we have more optimized router. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see, the evolution of 1inch, and now besides the core product, the DAX aggregator, you also have 1inch wallet and some like suite of products. If you'd like to quickly share about them as well, feel free.
Yeah, 1inch was renamed to 1inch Network, and we see it as a distributed network of decentralized protocols and other products as wallet, as limit order protocol, and as many other things. So we not are only focused on aggregation, we're trying to improve what we can't find in DeFi. So initially we build the product when we're not able to find anything similar in DeFi, and we built it for us. And that's probably the good reason to build a product when you can't find something great and you try to build it on your own. And every time we see opportunity to build something exciting, like, for example, I'll today describe what happens in limit order protocol and why it makes a lot of sense for other entrepreneurs, developers to build on top of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this protocol, for example, is MIT license. It's like public good. It's have no any protocol fees.
Love it.
And the idea behind this to give a best possible service. Yeah.
Let's dive into it without further ado. If you'd like to share the presentation, I can, yeah.
Yeah, I see I can share it with the file here. Okay.
Yep. All right.
Okay. So the core idea behind the presentation is to describe what is limit order protocol, 1-inch limit order protocol, and what are important parts of it. And why I'm describing it now is that actually developers, entrepreneurs, or anyone, like any arbitrary guy on hackathon, is able to build a great DeFi application, which is not existing now, but it's possible without writing own smart contract, because writing smart contracts require auditing smart contracts, and that's like a lot of money and a lot of work. But some of the things could be built on top of existing protocols, and limit order protocol is a great example of it. It have like really cool technical features which are currently not widely used, but we will see what's possible to build on top of it. So first of all, this protocol is MIT licensed. This means that anyone can change it, use it for commercial use or non-commercial use, and it does not make any sense for us. So it's like a public good contribution. There is no any protocol fees, but if some developers want to build something on top of it, they can have their own implementation of transfers, and they could have own fees if they wish. But I believe it's not very competitive to have fees in protocols. So also ultimate gas efficiency. We built maybe already like 3-4 versions. I believe 4th version is going to be released. And in the very first version, we were already cheaper than any other competitor protocol. And with each next version, we push limits further. It's like we decrease gas costs like by tens of percentages. We contribute a lot to open source libraries like Open Zeppelin library. We contribute a lot to compiler by creating issues mostly. And yeah, that's like feature what we're like really care about, gas efficiency. And this protocol also have unique features. We will talk about them on the next slide. So you see them all. I'll try to explain each of them. For example, when I will use names like maker and taker. Maker is those one who created order, created digital signature, and placed this order somewhere off chain. And taker is those who decided to fill those order. So those who create order, maker, can set up pre and post interactions. This is calls which would happen during filling those order, before it will be filled, and after it will be filled, like before and after. So for example, you could have pre-interaction. For example, if you have smart contract, which is have placing limit order, it can unwrap Aave either or Aave USDC from Aave as pre-interaction, sell it as USDC or Ether, and then wrap a result back or something. So it depends. I just covered the bottom one and the top one features here. So yeah, our limit order protocol for sure supports smart contracts. Smart contracts don't have private keys, but it's still possible to provide kind of smart contract signature. There is a special Ethereum improvement proposal for this. It's pretty old, so I assume that almost any protocol use it, almost. There is possibility for taker interaction. If when taker is filling order, it's possible to get maker assets. Then you will get a callback to do something with those money, and then limit order protocol will get your assets as a taker and forward it to maker. So you can make like arbitrage trade without having any own funds deposited. Just get funds from order, trade it somewhere, and finish those execution by approving these funds, and limit order protocol will take it. So, for example, our recent feature, fusion mode, is extensively using these taker interactions. It fills multiple orders. We use it actually as reentrancy. So we start filling one order, we get a callback, we start filling another order, we get a callback, and this allows us to fill like 10 orders, multiple orders. We get all those funds from all those makers, and then we can interact with those funds, swap part of them, mutually fill them or something else, and then we just finish our interaction, and then taker to maker transfers happens. And this allows like a more gas efficient resolving. Yeah. Also, we have previously we called them token proxies, but now we call them plugins. This is a special thing which allows you to set up arbitrary execution for your transfers. So instead of putting token address and calling transfer from on it, you could put address of plugin, and when transfer from will be called, you can have arbitrary execution. For example, you could have NFT transfers, ERC1155 transfers, or you can have batch transfer, which execute multiple transfers. So you can create order to swap multiple tokens on multiple, one on multiple, multiple on one, or you could have potentially arbitrary behavior. And yeah, that's depends on what you want. And this is possible by just writing like 5-6 lines of code. You write separate smart contract with this transfer from method with additional arguments which you need, and you can do whatever you want as a software engineer, Solidity engineer. There is one more thing called dynamic prices. So it's not necessary to put exact amounts in order. They can be overridden by static call. So you could provide some data for static call within your order, and it will get priced dynamically. So you could have like auction, for example, Dutch auction, where price is moving each second or something like that. And there is a predicate. So whenever your order is being filled, your order can make a static call and check if it's possible currently to fill those order or not. So I have one more slide with examples of how this could be used. For example, I'll name what I have here and explain how it could be, which technical features could be used to achieve those behavior. For example, you could have Dutch auction. This is basically dynamic prices where price would be returned from other contract via view call, which will depend from time, for example. Price gets better for arbitrage trader within each second. This is, for example, what we did with fusion orders. Fusion orders is basically auctions where price improves for arbitrage traders within each second, and they compete with each other and they see opportunity and they feel you and you get the best possible price. For example, stop loss orders. It's order which is, for example, price of Ether is currently 1700 and you're gonna sell it if price will drop below 1500. So you could have this. If you would place this order now, arbitrage traders will fill it immediately. They are gonna buy Ether for 1500. Why not? It's a good price. But what you actually want, you could probably want to sell it at 1500 if price on Oracle is below than 1520, 1530 or something like that. And you can have it. You should just place a predicate where it's checking price on Oracle and comparing it with this 1520. And if this predicate returns true, this means that your order will be fillable only when your predicate will return true. Also, you can build trailing stop loss order. This usually means that if price drops fast, you will sell. So, or buy.
This is incredible.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, those kind of different orders are available on centralized exchanges, but no one saw them like widely popular on DEXs. But it's possible already to build those things. I mean, we use this protocol extensively. We build some UI for some use cases, but it's possible to build like arbitrary application with like a lot of different behaviors, like range of different limit orders. I believe people can come up to 5 different types of limit orders or something like that, and they could be done like in a completely decentralized way. So you can store those orders off chain on your own, or you can have peer-to-peer network. We are gonna have peer-to-peer network for storing and exchanging those orders. It's not yet ready, but we hope it will be finished. And yeah, it depends on you. You can store those orders on your own. You can share it with 1inch, or you can use P2P network to store it. Yeah. For example, range orders is also kind of a new idea in DeFi. So someone could develop it to sell amount within some price range, not a specific price. For example, you're gonna sell either from 1800 till 2000. So whenever price will reach 1900, it will sell half of your order. So it's a pretty cool thing. Looks like liquidity position in Uniswap V2, but it will not buy back when price moves back, for example. So it depends on whatever you want. But you could have things similar to Uniswap V3 position if you will place 2 orders at the same price range, but for different directions. It's possible. And it's also possible to build custom trading strategies. So some smart contract could make some decisions based on oracles or based on anything else. And it can use this limit order protocol to place its orders. It would be much better and much safe for user funds. I mean, if someone like admin is managing smart contract fund, it's collective fund of its depositors. I believe the only safe way to trade those money which do not belongs to those admin is not allowing him to trade directly via transaction, because he can use bad routing to sandwich those trades or something like that. But the best case would be probably placing auction. So if he's gonna trade like 20 millions of DAI for either, I don't know. If it's placing like auction, which is improving its price from like super good price, which is no one offering currently, like market price plus 100 percentages, it's pretty good price. And this price could drop within like 0.01 percentages a second. It could drop back to 100 percentages or 80 percentages. It depends. I mean, this drop could take like few hours, but it will slow in every moment. It will lose only 1 bips per second. So it moves relatively slow, but it will achieve like half of the price relatively fast. It's like a matter of hours or something. And yeah, that's probably the way to trade kind of assets which do not belong to those who try to manage funds. Those things like Aave and Compound, you can see it here. Liquidations on these platforms could be described as limit orders. They can be placed, but why liquidation is not happening? Because price is not good enough. So whenever price will be good enough for liquidation, it can be accessible, it can be wrapped with limit order protocol. But why? Why to wrap liquidations with limit order with order? Like why? Because it would give much better availability for liquidators. Being a liquidators would mean just being arbitrage trader who can track those orders. So, for example, if you're developing new platform like Aave Compound, like lending, money market, you could consider having those wrappers to make your liquidations more accessible, to make more people follow your liquidations, keeping track of it because it's important. Or with this limiter protocol, it's possible to build like a number of different applications, ideas, and it makes like no sense to develop own version of this protocol. I mean, you can always get this source code modified if you need it and deploy it on your own because MIT license allows this. But we try to include as many things as possible on technical layer. This allows to build a lot of different products, and I'm not sure if 1inch can build all of them. So I believe people could use it on hackathons, use it to build own startups, own projects, even if it's a small project, making, I don't know, like range orders. At some point in time, after 1 year, it could be a startup. So DeFi is a space of opportunities.
Yeah, I also fully agree about basically this building blocks and composability of this space. Yeah, it was incredible, Anton. Thank you. The thing that I also personally notice is we are, from the DeFi perspective, we become more and more proficient with the tools we have. And basically, we sort of start competing at a high level with Sexes because most of the functionality that the average users have on Sexes, I'm not mentioning like pro traders, but even for pro traders, there's some on-chain protocols in place, and 1inch is one of them. I wonder, from your perspective, what do you think, like what it takes the average users to basically perhaps switch from Sexes to DEXs and to DeFi? Because like those tools are there, right? And they're getting built, and 1inch is also pushing that, which I'm absolutely mind-blowing with the fact that you fully open sourced it, you fully support this space. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I believe from what we saw first, we see that volumes and number of trades on decentralized exchanges, they expanded dramatically on the previous bull run comparing to centralized exchanges. This means that share of volumes and activity within DeFi increased dramatically. So it was like probably few percentages. Now it's definitely like tens of percentages. And I believe in future it will become more and more stronger. So what makes people switch from centralized exchanges to decentralized ones? I believe it's lack of trust and transparency. When I see like when people use centralized exchanges, they're not sure what would happen to their funds tomorrow. I mean, everyone afraid to wake up tomorrow and see that their exchange is closed. They just can't open the website. They can't get access to their funds. And in best case scenario, they would have kind of liquidation of this exchange, and they would get share of their initial funds of their balance. But it's in the best case. In the worst case scenario, you will never get access to your funds, and you will get emails that sometimes.
And we see that happening. You know, we already saw it.
Yeah, it happens so many times to different exchanges. People try to believe that some of the hugest exchanges will not fail, but I believe everyone understands that it's not possible to guarantee. So the only way to be kind of solvent and have any guarantees that you are not hacked yet is transparency. But smart contracts is the best way for now to achieve this, to have transparent balances, transparent algorithm. And when people have their funds on their wallet, I don't use anymore non-custodian. I use self-custodian wording. It sounds much better. So people use self-custodian wallet. They use DEXs. They also check their proofs. They revoke their proofs. They change their wallets probably time to time. It depends on whatever you decide is secure for you. So they can have control of this. For example, if you have no proofs on your wallet and you're like created in a reliable way, I mean random generation was random enough, you could be sure that no one will steal your money without direct access to your private key.
Yeah.
So people use hardware wallets to improve this. Different hardware wallets work differently. Some of them allow things which others don't allow. So it's complex question, but you can have kind of control and understanding what is happening to your funds and what are the dangers, threats. But if you're using centralized exchange, you are kind of open to anything what could happen to the market.
Yeah.
And I believe more and more users will understand why DEXs are better and they will switch to it. And that's what we see is already happening. The increasing share of DeFi usage. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think we are already at that stage where there's more than, billions, in some cases, trillions of assets being swapped and, transferred in DeFi ecosystem. One thing I wanted to mention is, this approach in Web2, they say like don't be evil, right? Like the Google had this motto. And in Web3, I think it was probably Chris Dixon or A16Z research paper. I really love this phrase. Like we move from like don't be evil to can't be evil in Web3. It's not like it's not about whether you would like to or not be evil. It's like by default you cannot be evil because the code, the math behind the technology we use dictates the rules that everyone can check because of the open source, being open source first nature. I wonder, Anton, if you have any kind of closing notes you would like to share with our listeners today, any like call to action, perhaps for the builders, for the users, feel free.
I have call to action for builders for sure.
Let's do
I
it.
consider myself as builder. I'm co-founder currently of the company who have more than 150 people. But the thing is, I'm proud that I'm still able to like dedicate most of my time to software engineering, to development of new blockchain protocols, to developing new versions of existing blockchain protocols. And that's how I came into DeFi, and that's what I can still afford to do for the most of my time. And I believe that there is I see it. I see that there is a number of opportunities. There is a number of possibilities to build new protocols, to build new approaches. Like I enumerated today, like maybe 5-10 different ideas which are not yet there. There is no any mainstream solutions with those ideas, and all these things are potentially opportunities for software engineers to build, to become mainstream in this thing, like to become, for example, just a decentralized stop loss. So no one is offering this as a main feature of like separate product, but it's possible. And I believe on the next bull market, it could be like a separate startup. This idea is not small. It sounds like small, but it's not small because like having this feature on any centralized exchange, like every centralized exchange have it, so it's not that huge. But having this as a separate startup, separate product on DeFi, it's much larger scale because this opens this ability to potentially millions of users.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the most obvious ideas sometimes seems like too obvious to do that, but they might turn out to be one of the largest and most impactful. Before we wrap up, Anton, quick question, because you mentioned bull market. So in your opinion, when the bull market will start?
I will not give you financial advices for sure, but
of course.
The thing is, I believe that it's inevitable. So it does not matter what's happening on the market. It does not matter who is trying to make it like worse, so dump the market or pump the market. It makes no sense. In terms of cycles, I believe it would repeat few more times, at least maybe 2-3 times. And as someone said, bearish market, bullish development. So it's true. Developing in this year is much more comfortable than developing 2 years ago, because when you are in the bull market, you have so many news, like every day you have something new. You need to understand what's happening. You need to read it. It's about new protocols. It's about new approaches. It's about how things changing in DeFi. It's changing so fast on bull market, so it's almost impossible to dedicate like full time for development. And currently, it's like everything is so calm. There are almost no news in DeFi. There are some news in crypto, but they actually makes no sense in terms of DeFi. And it's like a huge opportunity to have no any disturbing to build amazing things.
Absolutely.
So great time to start.
I think to sum it up, builders keep on building, no matter if bull or bear. Thank you so much, Anton. It was great having you today. And for those of you who would like to keep in touch with Anton, I think your socials, 1inch website, protocol, keep on building, and feel free to reach out. Thank you, Anton.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Bye.